Imani means believing in yourself. They have so much to look forward to because we know they can have a different way of looking at their dreams and goals. Getting them at that stage makes it easier for us to focus and train them in the skills that we're trying to achieve. My name is Keziah Murugi, and I'm the director and founder of Imani Women Empowerment Program. Imani Women Empowerment Program is a skills training program where we take young women from vulnerable backgrounds and teen moms into the tailoring program. These young girls come without a skill, but they have a responsibility of raising their children. And our program caters for just having them go through a training that will be able to sustain their lives in future. Having this program run can look easy on the outward part, but there's a lot that goes behind the scenes to have the girls come into the program and for them to actually come out of the program having gained that skill. That is the cost of the opportunity for them to be in the program. Just looking at the overall part, that is the human part. We have the human labor. The labor part, I work with a team of tailors. They are skilled, worked for over 30 years, and that's the group that I work with. We have one of the tailors that specializes in making bags from leather, canvas, material. We make different bags depending on the materials that we want to put out there to the market. We also have a tailor that specializes in clothing, and he does women clothing and the male cloth line. We also have a trainer. She's specifically just dealing with the daily classes, attending from 9 to 4:30. And we've had her as an employee for the last few cohorts. We also have a matron that lives with the girls when they come back home. That's where now she's able to run the daily home affairs. All these people come at a cost. But more than that, they also give their time, their energy, they understand the environment that we're in. And I always tell them, when you accepted to come and serve with Imani, you didn't just come for a job. You also came to give your time and to serve these young women who want to be tailors one day. And so that's the team that I work with. That's the team that drives Imani Program. And I'm so happy that I've been with them for a long time. Apart from that, we also have the people that come as casual laborers. We have people who come to work on the machines when they break down. We also have people that we work with in terms of wanting to come as volunteers and they serve. We also pay some of the staff that come in on different roles. We also have the security, which is a team that stays to make sure that the institution is safe from invasion. And we also have bills. We have a house that we stay in where the training happens. We also have bills that we incur. One of the things that I like to share with volunteers or people that come to visit Imani Program is that we're not far off from a home. Whatever you use in your home, just picture that, and that is exactly what we get to spend also at the institution. We incur water bills, we incur electricity bills, And having about 15 girls in a program, that's a lot of bills. We have a lot of water running out because of because of the girls being in the shower too long. We still have the same issues as well at Imani. So having 15 girls, we get to have a lot of water bills and electricity bills. We also have, people, we have the garbage collection team that comes in to pick garbage every week. We have food that we get to spend on a daily basis. And so looking at the overall spending, that's all the costs that we have to incur for us to have these girls in the program. So my focus has been to ensure that these girls get the basic needs being provided for, and on a budget. These are 15 girls. We have workers that are, working with us on a daily basis, except on Sunday. But we incur things like food. We also, the shopping has to be done. To maintain everybody in the program. We also have to incur things like, basic requirements for girls. People tend to have a comparison between boys and girls and how much a girl can spend. And one of the things that I keep on reminding people is that some of the requirements that the girl needs is not by their own choosing. It comes biologically, and those things have to be provided as a basic need. And it differs from one girl to the next. For example, we cannot say we give, let's say, sanitary pads to this girl. You can't say I'll give one packet. Some of them may experience their menstrual twice a month. And those are things that we are ready for because we know how much a girl needs just for them to feel like a girl and to feel confident. And so we're always ready for that. The moment you have accepted to live with girls, you also have to accept the responsibility that you get to bear when they come into the program. We can have, most girls want to smell nice. We have to shop for deodorant, we have to buy lotions, we have to buy a comb, a mirror. They are your usual girls at home. They want to feel like a princess. They come in, into the program and they don't know what you provide. And the moment they see you are able to provide the things that is very hard for where they're coming from, for them to be given, it even creates more trust, and they get comfortable knowing, oh, she understands what we need. And that's some of the things that at the program we get to stretch, that stretches our budget a lot. And sometimes you'd find you're able to provide all the basic needs, but then things happen. And sometimes they may fall sick. You have to take them to the hospital. And on a monthly basis, I would say we get 3 to 4 girls feeling unwell, and especially during the menstrual period. Some of them may experience things that were not disclosed initially when they come into the program. And you'll find, like we've had a few girls who are anemic. And so when that time comes, you have to take them to the hospital. They have to be on medication. They have to use more than what, usually you would supply. So those are the surprises that you get when you stay with 15 girls in a program. And so overlooking that and the cost that the program itself has to go, to incur, it is difficult for us to give an exact amount on how much we spend. Our operational costs at the program, looking at the bills, the utility bills, which is water, electricity, and garbage collection, on a monthly basis is about 50,000 Kenya shillings. We also have the cost of having a girl in the program. That is in their classroom. What do these girls use? They use fabric, they use the sewing machine, they use threads. We have stationery as well. And our allocation on a monthly basis for each girl is usually 5,000 Kenya shillings. And for each girl, we make sure that we are able to supply their pens, their pencils. They have a drawing book. They have an exercise book. We also have printing materials that sometimes are required in the classroom for them to use when they are trying to read onto the materials. We also have supplies for their trainer. We have markers. We have resources that sometimes she requests for, like rulers. We have mark pens that she uses. So a classroom expense on each girl for us has been 5,000 per girl, and we have 15 girls. And that is on a monthly basis. We make sure that we're able to supply these items on time so that their class is not interrupted. Sometimes we go over the 5,000, especially when they're almost graduating, because now we have to give them different materials, and these materials come at a cost. So initially they may have started using the cheap materials because they were students. But now when we are almost having the tailors, having skilled tailors, they also require to start using now the expensive materials, which we refer them as expensive because it comes at a very high cost. That would mean maybe leather, canvas, and a fabric. And for them to use these items, they are also the accessories also have to match the quality of the fabric. For example, using a leather material, there's a specific thread that you have to use for that leather material, and that doesn't come cheap. It's like one thread we buy at 1,800. And so if you're giving a girl a material, you need to give them also the thread to do that project or to do that item. And so those are the costs that we just round them off, and we say per month, each girl, we will allocate 5,000 towards their teaching materials and for them to be in class. When they come home, there's also a cost. We house these girls in our premises, and when they get home, they require all the basic needs provided to them as well. And being girls, as I mentioned earlier, we need to supply them on a monthly basis with the basic items. That includes having, sanitary pads on time. We have undergarments. We don't just give them out as a one-off. We have times where we have to distribute 3 per girl on every 2 months. That's what we do. We also have to give them lotions And the funny thing is, even with lotions, you cannot say that you'll give them one lotion per month. Some of them can really apply the lotion. If it smells nice, they'll come to you, before the month ends and says, I'm done with my lotion is done, I need more. So those are the things that we face as a program. We cannot say we will just give you on a monthly basis. On the basic needs, we tend to have adjustments where sometimes we would do lotions every 2 weeks. Depending on the group also that you have, because remember now they are at a place where they want to shower, they want to look clean, and they're there and they feel, okay, we've been told we need to be clean, can we shower as much as we can? And so you end up, showering equals other basic needs, more soap, more lotion. Yeah, we supply them with toothbrushes, toothpaste. We have wipes, we have tissues, we have combs, we have hair products as well, like shampoo, and so many other things, because sometimes they ask for a deodorant. One of them would say, I can't do without a deodorant. And so we get ourselves at the home part is where now we get to adjust a lot, because it is hard for you to put a price on what you'll spend for that month. Apart from just the girls' basic needs, we also have things like food. Remember, this is a place where they have their breakfast, they have their tea break, they have their lunch, then they come home in the evening to have dinner with everyone else. And so that is a cost that we incur as a program, as our institution. And so it also depends on the prices of commodities out there. Sometimes you go to to buy food, and it's a good amount. It costs a certain amount. Next time, maybe they say they prefer a change in the cereal. Maybe when we were having beans, now they want green grams. And so those adjustments that we get to do come at a cost. Our food, we've approximated it as, we put it as a weekly expenditure, because every week brings in a different challenge. We could have, ugali this week, maybe 3 times a week. Sometimes we'd have to change to substitute that with something else, especially if we do not have the flowers on time. So those changes that come in like a regular home, you would find as being costly. So sometimes our daily budget for food alone is 5,000 Kenya shillings. That is inclusive of their breakfast, their lunch, and their dinner. Breakfast, sometimes they have porridge and an accompaniment like bread or bread, sometimes mandazi, sometimes they can have eggs when it's the weekend. We also have sweet potatoes. We also have arrowroots as substitutes for their breakfast. And sometimes they have tea, depending on how they choose to have it. So the girls would always say when it's cold, they prefer porridge. When it's warmer, they prefer tea. And so we make those adjustments depending on the weather, and also what is preferred for breakfast according to what their timetable says. We also have the lunch hours, where the matron is the one who prepares their lunches. And they would have, some days they would have rice with green grams, or lentils, or beans. And sometimes they would have vegetables and, something that is available, whether it's ugali, or they would have githeri as also lunch. But those are some of the things that are easier to make, and they don't constrain so much on the time. At dinner, that's where everything happens. So the girls are involved in making their own dinner. So sometimes they would prefer to make chapati, sometimes they would prefer to cook rice. Depending on what is available, that's what they would be able to make together as a family. And our food budget totals to about 150,000 on a monthly basis. And that is inclusive of the cooking gas, or sometimes we use charcoal to boil things like beans that take up a lot of time. And so that is our monthly budget of about 150,000. On the human resource part, our costs to have the team that I have goes to about 220,000. That's just the salaries that we're able to pay on a monthly basis. Then we have utilities, that is water bills, electricity bills, and on a weekly basis we have the garbage collectors that come in to collect from all the homes that are around there. And so our cost for that we have approximated to about 50,000 shillings. We also have errands that we are able to do, like going to the market and buying things, deliveries. And, those ones sometimes, they fluctuate depending on what or which month we are dealing with. I'm talking about having to get, let's say, materials to come to the program. Sometimes, we have delivery people who would they would collect these items, bring to the institution if I'm not close by. We also have fuel costs. This is when you have to run errands, you have to meet people, talk about the program. Sometimes you have to rush the girls, maybe going to the hospital. Those are the bills that come up. We also have to go around buying things for the program. And those are all costs that people don't, so much dwell on, but you can't assume them as well. It is a cost that has to be incurred on a monthly basis. As I had mentioned earlier, there are situations where we have our girls falling sick. And staying with girls, they get to be unwell so often. And that is around their menstrual time, and you'd have 3, sometimes 2 girls who fall sick, and they have to be attended to. That is just the normal situations that you would experience at Imani Program. Sometimes we would have now, illnesses. Like them falling sick, they would have malaria, or, they would have developed something like a chest problem, and they would need maybe to go and to see a specialist. We've had a situation where we had 2 girls who were convulsing, and it was very hard for us to be able to pinpoint on what is causing it. And so we had to take them to a specialist to see what exactly was going on. And that was a lot of money when you look at it. Like, this is not money that you had not set aside for, for certain things. And that is what we sign up for. When we allow these girls to come at the program, sometimes there are things that come up that you cannot wish away. You have to find ways of resolving issues when they arise. You have to find ways of catering for bills that come up that you had not planned for. And so it is very hard to say this much we allocate on the medical basis, but we set aside some amount for emergencies. But sometimes it goes beyond the budget. And that's just part of what the program is all about. That is now on the back end of what you see when you hear Imani Program and when you see the girls at the training program. Maybe the other thing that really, comes as a surprise to so many people is that when these girls come and they find a sewing machine, we have somebody who has to come, especially the first few months when they start learning the skill. They mess up the machines a lot. So you'd find in a day 3 machines have broken down. We have a person that has to come and just repair some of those machines. We also have costs that are associated with their classes. Sometimes when it's darker, it means we have to improvise and have more lighting when they are learning. Sometimes they come in and they don't have, maybe it's muddy and we had to buy some shoes for them to go in with, or some socks, additional socks. And so, that is the other cost. Remember, these girls are coming from a vulnerable background. So when they come in and you accept them into the program, some of them come without even enough clothing. Some of them will just come with maybe 2 change of clothes. And so when they come in, and especially like the team the cohort that is here now at this time, from the January to this June of 2026, we've had to buy warm clothes because it just happened that it was raining more. Our location has so many trees, so it's a cool area. Them having come from, most of them having come from Kakuma, which is a very hot area. It's very warm, and they never even wore, sweaters or hoodies. So we are forced to now try to get them warm clothes because they will need that for them to be in class. We've had to, improvise and, add more blankets, to their bedrooms, because sometimes, they say, oh, it was so cold last night. You have to get more blankets. You have to get, more warm clothes for them. We've had to get them sweatpants, socks. Those are things that sometimes the difference in cohorts also brings in the cost. And so, we get surprised every time. And so running the program, I would say, sometimes can be very hard, especially if the budget now keeps on fluctuating. Now we are dealing with, a mindset where we had allocated a budget at this amount, and then, changes in climate, or just, the girls, how they are, maybe one of them is a bit sickly, then you end up now having to dig more from a different source for you to be able to cater for it. I'm thankful that the team that I have right now are able to work around things like when a girl needs to be rushed to hospital, we always have people around. And that's the beauty of having a team also of employees working with you. So I would get a phone call sometimes if I'm not there, and they'd say, we are heading to, let's say, the hospital. This is how much we will need, and I always have an adult that would step in and assist. And so that's one thing that I'm thankful to God for, having a good team and having worked with them for quite some time. So they understand now what is required. If a girl falls sick and the trainer, who is a lady, is able now to take her to hospital, then one of the production team tailors steps into the class. And so we always have that great work relationship around us that has become a very strong support system for us. Sometimes it's the matron who will decide, let me go and take this girl to the hospital, trainer, go back to class. Maybe she would get assistance from one of the trainers, that the other tailors, or some of the girls would offer, can we help you by taking this girl? And then I would meet them at the hospital and we would settle, whatever bills that needs to be catered for. So that's kind of our daily life at the Imani program, and how much we are able to work together just to make the program a success. Another major cost that we have is the capital investment. On our part, we are fortunate to have a place where we run the program. But it's very unfinished because we just have the structure. And this year, our target has been to finish that structure to the point where now the girls can be able to call that as a home. Currently, the structure that we have where they attend for their classes is not finished. So they walk from where they stay to now where the classroom is. We are hoping that we can have everything in one premise, where we would have where they stay, where they eat, and where they sleep, and the classes would be in the same premise. We have a house that is still under construction, and that currently that is the only place they go for their classes because it's spacious. They're able to have all the machines in place, but we are hoping to try and finish it before the end of the year. And the costs that arise from that can be very high, especially knowing that we also have operational costs that we have to go through on a monthly basis. So, we have a house that we need to finish the dome. We've not plastered it. We have not, we don't have enough washrooms for that premise to be fully, occupied. So it is still in a place where we cannot be allowed to move the girls in. And so we, together with our board, we've been trying to think of ways on how we would have that ready for these girls to move in, and we'll just have everyone in one place. And as we talk, we are trying to reach out to people who can support this project. It's massive, yes, but in the long run, this is one of the things that we would feel is a great burden lifted from everything else that the program has to be going through. And just, looking at the plastering part, we need painting, we need electrical wiring done in the premise. We have a perimeter wall that was washed away by the heavy rains that we had, and so that needs to be rebuilt again and reinforced so that it doesn't fall off again. We have windows in place and doors, but we need to put some glasses to make the room warmer. And so even as we think about every other cost that we incur on a monthly basis, that is one of the heavy things that now as a program we need to be looking at. And so we are reaching out to friends of Imani Program. We are reaching out to people who would want to support, and they would go through our website, which is imaniprogram.org. With that, you can donate towards the construction of the building. We already have the structure in place. We just need to start doing the finishing of this house. And then we would have the Imani house ready for full occupation. And that is one of the things that are our prayer points this year, because we feel as an institution that having the girls commuting from one point to the next, whereas they can be accommodated in one building, will make work for us easier, because we would not need to have two security guards in the two premises. We would not need to be incurring, one cost in the moving of things, because now that's our daily routine. We would have to move the machines. After every class, these girls have to move the machine to a location where we can lock them up. Then in the morning, they have to take the machines again to class. And so we feel once that classroom, or when they live in the same premises, that would make our moving around easy. We would have everybody in one place. We would have, to incur less also in utility bills, because we will be just dealing with one premise. And this is a call on anyone who feels they want to support us. I'm actually just requesting that you could come in and support through our website, which is imaniprogram.org. You will get to donate, and you can indicate it's towards the construction. And that would really put us in a better place as an institution, and also just in the growth of what Imani is going to be. So what are the benefits of having this structure completed? It's because now we would be able to introduce the other programs that are also, we're also thinking about. We are thinking about, introducing hairdressing and beauty. We are also thinking about doing catering and pastry as part of the skills that we'll be training these young girls. And because we have them for 6 months, that is a great opportunity for this one girl to have more than one skill. Even at our homes, or even as a person, you look at yourself and there are things that you prefer doing. I feel we have limited the skills to tailoring alone, because that's what we have room for. We can be able to use the manual machines. We can move the manual machines to a next room and pick it in the morning. But if we were to finish this house, then we would have, more room to do hairdressing and beauty, these girls can be learning that as well. We can have them learning, we can have our, our stove, our ovens that they can be trained to make cakes, bread. And this can also come in handy when they are trying to stabilize their life out there. This is a skill that these women can actually exercise 2 or more to just be able to make more money to raise their children. And that's the dream that we have for Imani. We want these girls not only to come and learn one skill, but we hope to do 2 or 3 more skills so that whatever comes in handy, they're able to do it. I imagine a situation where a girl can work from home, bake cakes for kids' birthdays, take, pastry products to a school and sell during break time or lunch time. They can come home and make uniforms for the same school. I'm looking at a situation where in case they're in a town setting, they can have a hairdressing, shop, and also have their sewing machine on the side at the same, facility, and they're able to work on clothes. If they're not busy with clothes and another client comes in and wants their hair braided, they can stop from that and move to braid the hair. And so these are the opportunities I'm looking at for these young women, for them to start being financially independent. One thing I've realized is that when these girls come, it's not because they are not capable of. It is because they have not been given an opportunity to give out their talent, or for them to start working and feeling proud of what they're able to achieve. And once they start learning a new skill, once they feel like they can be able to give into something, you completely see a different, transformed person. And so I've come to a conclusion that some people are not poor at doing anything. It's just that sometimes they need that opportunity for them to be able to exercise what they might be having internally. Think about a situation where you are given an opportunity, whether it's a job, whether it is resources. Sometimes you may have been, completely broke, and someone came and gave you some money. What did you, how did you feel at that point when you're given that opportunity? That's how we feel at Imani Program. We look at it like these girls are here and they have an opportunity for them to learn 2 or 3 skills. And with these skills, it will completely transform their lives from where they were with nothing to them being able to start generating an income, start generating money for their own lives. And, we're talking about 6 months of transformation. Yes, it can be a cost for our program, but it is a great opportunity for these young girls, for them to be able to know that from now on, I am depending on my skills to put food on the table. I'm depending on my skills for the rest of my life to either grow my mind and do more about, my situation in life at this point, or, I'm taking my responsibility. From now on, I'm not going to be throwing this responsibility to the society, to my parents, to my guardians. They've started owning up to the responsibility that I'm now, transitioning to an adult. And Now I should be able to take care of my responsibility. What do I need? I need a house. I need to provide for my basic needs. If anything, that's the only thing that I always feel that if you have a girl who is able to take care of their own responsibility, then there's no need for you to give them handouts. From there, they'll grow and even set aside some money for later investments. And so that is why for us, skills training is important for these young people. On the emotional part, we get very traumatized young women. Sometimes the inexperience and even the culture that I come from, talking about certain topics have resulted to what we have today, which is teen moms. And for me, I decided to take the bull by the horns. That's how I would call this. And knowing that in our culture, it's a taboo to talk about sex. It is a taboo to talk about, the consequences of engaging in premarital sex. And so you find some of these girls, got pregnant because of the inexperience. They did not know the consequences that come with this action. They've had to learn it the hard way. And, you give them a chance now, they would say it is better they would have learned it from their parents, because there were so many teachable moments as parents and as people. We get to go through these things in life. And so for them, I feel the hard lesson is having to have a child and you're still a child, having to be responsible for another person when you can barely be responsible for your own basic needs. And so going back with the program, we look at, we have to start somewhere. We have to tell them, okay, we cannot go back and change anything, but what are we able to do from now on? You now have a responsibility. You need to take care of this responsibility. It is no one else's, it is yours. So how do you change your mindset to get to a place where you are able to cater for these responsibilities? And one of it is, what is the opportunity cost? What are you willing to lose as a person for you to be able to gain, in future? And that is the 6 months. How are you going to commit to this program? We require for you to come in fully prepared that the 6 months are supposed to be the transformation period. And, having 15 that are fully committed, we also have some setbacks. Some of them come and they feel, okay, the basic needs have been provided. Maybe once they had a baby, they had gone to the work environment, they had been employed as a house help, and they felt, the little money that was coming in would help even with their children, at home. They would be able to buy, they would be able to spend some money. They would be able to earn 6,000 or 10,000 shillings. But now you're telling this girl you have to commit for 6 months. We're not giving you money. We're not giving you any handout. And so are you willing to let go of the little amount for you to be able to, are you willing to give out that little amount for you to earn more in future? And those are the things that we try to think about when we are engaging with these girls. And one of the things that I've realized, for those that committed, for those that decided you know what, I am willing to give my time if this is going to transform my life. The moment we are able to see that there's that willingness to commit, we are able to, work on a girl that has already committed herself fully to the program. We are also able to work on the trauma part. What did you experience? The shock itself of being pregnant. The shock that, the person that once proclaimed they loved you left you to deal with your responsibility. They have a lot of anger as well, because they think by themselves they would have been, bright enough or clever enough to have run away from that kind of, entanglement, where you were caught to be too in love with somebody that you forgot their other responsibilities. Being, rejected by your own family because of the mess that you created. Most of our culture is culturally based and religious. And so when a girl falls pregnant, you feel like you've been abandoned by the church, you've been abandoned by your own family. And so how do they deal with that? Those are also the part where we need to work on. These girls, are still children. They're still young. And, the part where they needed to learn to let go in a way that does not harm them emotionally was not done. So remember, this is a girl who fell pregnant, and everything that they knew before the pregnancy gets cut immediately. If it's going home, you're no longer welcome. If it is how your mom used to treat you, like, this is my daughter, they were so proud of you, now you've ashamed the family. They don't accept you anymore. You have to stop going to school. Some of them had to drop out of school because of being pregnant. The schools don't allow you to go to school while pregnant. So now everything that you knew before that time just gets to change overnight. And so that is very traumatizing by itself. Then you look at the boy or the man who, proclaimed they loved you, and they no longer want anything to do with you, or they're not capable of, taking on the responsibility. You might have, we've had cases where it was a boy who impregnated a young girl. So the boy himself is in school. So they cannot take up the responsibility of raising a child with this young girl. They may have loved each other, but then the responsibility interferes with the love part. And so, the girl now feels she's alone. She's been thrown into a battlefield to try and sort out her own issues by herself. And for that, mostly we find like they're lost. They don't know where to begin. And so when we bring them to the program and we tell them, at this point, you're coming in and you will stay here with us, they feel the child in them has been embraced. They no longer have to cater for basic needs. That's now the family part that we are trying to rebuild. This is what you used to get. Now you've been given an opportunity for you to learn a skill. That is the school part where they rejected you with your pregnancy, and now you're able to attend a class. And you're attending a class where you have been accepted. You have similar, girls around you that have gone through the same thing that you've gone through. So you feel accepted. And that is the point where we are able to work with these girls. They're able to see that this is the one place that has embraced us even when the society or everyone else had rejected us. And that's what we offer at Imani. That's the emotional part where we try to heal. That's the emotional part that as the caregivers get drained a lot, because it's different issues for the 15 girls. It's not a uniform kind of therapy that you give all these girls. It is, each girl has a different thing that they have to battle. Some of them have not even reconciled with their parents. Some of them, it is one issue they may have, and some of them have even been, they're facing, they were infected with something. And so in each case, even for our own caregivers, we have to get someone to come and talk to them because of what they are also are able to give to these young girls. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for just watching this episode and learning about Imani Program and the episode that we've had on the cost of this opportunity. I want to remind you to go and subscribe to the YouTube channel and Spotify. It is Imani Program. Please subscribe and share with friends about what we do. And I just want to thank you and have a blessed time.